Why did the worm cross the road? Well, that's where the chicken was. Okay, so this is basically a bucket of slop. I found this container of vermicompost at the back of the shed at the top of the garden. It had a cover on it originally, but obviously at some point since last September, because I know I harvested this in September last year from one of the pits, the cover blew off. So goodness only knows how long this bin has been in the flooded state that it's in. So I took it down to dry it out today, because we had a very nice sunny day today, and I discovered that there were worms in it. Now, what's interesting is I know that this bin was harvested, the vermicompost in this bin was harvested last September, because I had 5 black containers like this which I filled from one of the pits. Now, we know that the worms that are in here didn't come from cocoons, because cocoons wouldn't have hatched in these conditions. There's another worm there. And this bin was stacked 3 high, so this was the 3rd bin on top of 2 other bins, and the other bins were just as bad, and they also had worms in them. So that means that if these were adults that came in to the bin, they would have had to climb from the ground up the side of a 35 litre container, drop into the first bin, climb up the second bin, drop into the second bin, and then climb up into this bin, which I think is highly unlikely. So the only thing I can think of is these were actually tiny little baby worms that I missed when I originally harvested and screened this vermicompost, and they've continued to live and grow in what is basically a bucket of what must be now quite close to being anaerobic slop. So these guys really surprised me. That's what I love about worms. They just don't follow the textbooks, and they never stop surprising you. There's also an interesting discussion that happens from time to time about why worms leave their bins when it rains, and we know they do that. One school of thought is that because they can't swim and they breathe through their skin, they don't want to be trapped in what will become an anaerobic environment, so they move. And another school of thought is that they will dry out if they're exposed to too much air or light, so they use the opportunity to move around on the outside when it's dark and it's wet and raining, because they won't dry out. I don't think finding the worms in these buckets here really answers that question, but I just thought it was really interesting that they didn't seem to be making any effort to get out. And the slop, as you saw, was right up to the top of the bucket, so they could have made their way out. But anyhow, I'm moving them into the granddaughter bin, and they can settle into their new home. And there's going to be some tall tales told in that bin tonight. Thanks for watching.